Welcome, everybody. Guess what I forgot to do? It's always something I'm forgetting. And tonight it's been a lot of things, but it's okay. I'm getting her done right now. Just hold on to your horses. I'm going to get it done in just a moment here because, by God, I may forget a lot, but I always remember how to do it quickly. There you go. The chat is now on screen. I got that done. Welcome, everybody, to the Paranormal Portal. It's Friday night. And thank you so much for coming in and hanging out here on your Friday nights. That is always a rare and wonderful pleasure, a blessing. It's a gift that you're giving me every time I start these shows. So thank you all for coming in and being a part of the journey. As always, we hope you're doing wonderful. Hope you have a great weekend ahead of you. And Fridays, man. Woo! Fridays. Well, it's not your normal Friday, though. It's not your typical Friday. There's something different in the air tonight. Something a little unusual. Maybe a presence. Is there a presence here among us who'd like to introduce themselves? Could I be talking about the big branch himself? Mr. Sheldon Thomas, how you doing?
Doing good. I know this is unusual, but here I am ready to spread my paranormal cheer.
You have paranormal cheer.
That's right.
Well, that's good. I'm glad you're here to spread it. Thanks for coming on tonight and being here. You're not going to be here tomorrow night, though, so that's why we got the different schedule going on tonight. It feels like Saturday just because Sheldon's here, but there is one more show, and that's tomorrow night before the break until next Wednesday for the live shows. But how you doing, Sheldon? Everything good?
I'm doing fantastic. We got like a foot of snow, and I shoveled it earlier today, and I'm hurting, so I'm doing great. How are you doing?
We didn't get any snow. We lost power yesterday for a little while, actually, about an hour and a half or 2 hours. And it's been like the coldest snap of the entire winter, but it's okay because my heater keeps going anyway. It's like a gas heater thing, so it didn't like get cold or frigid, but it certainly narrowed down what I was able to do, so I opted for a nap. I don't get a lot of those, but I decided, well, there's absolutely nothing I can do right now. And so I just laid down on the couch and snoozed for a little bit. But yeah, it went good. It went good. But other than the power out, because up here, these power lines are probably, just repurposed telegraph wires anyway, up in the mountains up here. So they tend to get blown down from time to time in the really brisk and harsh winter winds coming through these mountains. So yeah, we lost power, but other than that, doing good. Nothing really too earth shattering shaking here. Just another fine day in the portal. So we got Friday night fun all night long here on the portal. We're going to get into the news in a moment here. We're going to go commercial free tonight because I'm kind of toying with this just to see how it goes and how we do. And I keep watching the numbers to see how they compare the commercial nights versus the non-commercial nights. And, there won't be scheduled breaks, but there still might be a break. Depends on the state of my bladder as we go, or, so it may come to pass that we have to take a break anyway, but it'll be completely unscheduled and a surprise to all of us, including me. So I guess we're going to get to the Discord question of the week. Just a little foreshadowing here. I didn't get a chance. I've had an incredibly busy week. And so I just barely got one up on Wednesday for Wednesday's show, but tonight I was sitting here and it was about an hour before the show and I'm like, oh God, I didn't get to it. But I did pose a question in the Discord community chat in the questions of the week. So it is a question of the week for tonight's show on Friday. However, it's we'll get into it in a little bit, but it's not your typical Paranormal Portal question of the week. Other than that, we're going to get into the cryptid corner, of course, and some other oddities and weirdness as we discover the other ones or the other things, as the title of the show tonight is called, The Other Things. So, hello, Eric Purple Hobbit. Good to see you, brother. Good to see you, John Temperin, John Stevenson, Eric. Who else? You guys are talking. Rachel. Good to see you, Rachel. Rachel, of course, is one of our wonderful moderators here on the Paranormal Portal. One of the true blessings of the show. She's always her name's Rachel Gets It Right, and she usually does. She usually does. I mean, it's not a misnomer. So, Portal Mom's out there. Woods and Creek is out there. That's Wendy. How you doing, Wendy? Jaron Daniels is here from Supernatural Station Podcast. Good to see you. Thanks for stopping in, brother. It's always a pleasure. We're going to get them on the podcast too sometime. I said, we got to get you guys on there. So looking, Ninja Dave is here, Paradox Fossils, Chucky Danger, Stone Hobbit. I'm just doing a few shout outs here as I see them because you guys are starting out busy, man. You're hitting the ground running there in the chat room. So I'm just looking to see if I've missed any names.
Got Luna.
Luna. Okay, Luna Moonicorn is here. Good to see you, Luna. Anybody else? I think Steve Humphrey came in. Good to see you. John Stevenson is here too. I saw him. Ninja Dave. I don't know. Am I missing anybody, Sheldon?
Little Too Spicy's here.
Little Too Spicy. That's a cool name. Well, hopefully you're just the right spice to be here. That was so lame.
I don't know what you're going for there.
I don't know either, but it's just like a little too spicy. Well, I hope this is just your spice. I don't know what that is.
We got Birdie Cuda.
Birdie Cuda, that's right. Birdie was the first one in. Birdie was right in the door right after I turned on the lights. She's like, boom, hi. So that was really cool. All right, I think that's most everybody that I can see.
Roman Daniels
popped in. Well, that's good. Good. We got both Jaron and Roman here. Now we're representing. So thanks, guys, for all coming in. And, yeah, I guess we'll just start rolling with it. What do you think of some news, Sheldon?
Always.
It's time, ladies and gentlemen, for the news. All right. Yes, Lovey. The news. Thurston, I don't know, Skilligan's Island kind of.
I see.
Do you remember that show?
You showed me like one episode years ago. That's about as much as I know.
Dude, Gilligan.
Yeah.
The skipper. He was great. Alan Hale. That guy was, never mind. It's more trivial, but he was really something. That guy really had a pretty amazing career. So, all right, let's get to it. Time for the news. Luna got it. Sorry, I'm just drumming on my desk here. But welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Paranormal Portal News Desk, where we discuss all the news I managed to drag up from the dredges of the interwebs. And, Thurston Howell, the millionaire, and his wife. Now a millionaire, you might get a house and a car. Back in those days, the millionaire was like, oh, he's set for life. He's a millionaire. But now you got to be a billionaire to really be considered a person with enormous means.
I think you have to have like $1.5 million to retire comfortably now. I think.
Probably that's a pretty tragic stat. I mean, when I was a kid, you get $1 million. Well, you can't even spend that in your whole life. and then the lottery proved everybody wrong. You get people winning $300 million and they're broke after 2 years. It's like,
so upsetting. It actually upsets me. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, a fool and their money are soon parted. So, all right, welcome to the news desk as we explore some news that I've pulled up for you. And let me start pulling it up on the screen. That didn't sound right at all.
Yeah, that's where it goes.
I know, but it was just dripping with stupid innuendo, and it wasn't intentional. It was not intentional. That's the problem. That stuff just comes out of my mouth, and it's like I don't even have a cerebral filter for it. It's out of my lips before I realize, God, that sounded stupid. I don't know what the hell's wrong with me, folks, but I don't know. I can't make excuses. The first article of tonight's News Fest is coming from unexplained-mysteries.com, ladies and gentlemen. Please check out this site. They are fantastic, wonderful, timely, and punctual with their news stories, and they just never disappoint. And if you go through all the news and you're all newsed up and you're like, I still like to read some more, they got some archives of the bizarre and weird stuff that is just really, really awesome. And we use those on the show. I'll probably be using a bunch tomorrow night on tomorrow's news, but it's kind of like the news of the weird that used to be going around on email way back in the day. Where you could subscribe and get all the weird news stories. It's like that. So, all right. Unexplained-mysteries.com reports, could dark energy one day cause another Big Bang to occur? Wow. Maybe we shouldn't look for it. Everybody's looking for it. Well, let's just leave it where it is, where it's not currently causing Big Bangs. Maybe that's the right approach. What do you think, Sheldon?
Yeah, I think there are some sciences we should leave alone until we're more capable.
Yeah, I know. We're like toddlers with hammers in a room full of grenades. Yeah. It's like, come on. All right, dark energy could be the key to understanding a cyclical universe that contracts and expands over and over again. There's so much we don't understand about the universe and the nature of its existence that even attempting to comprehend it, how anything actually exists at all, is enough to make your head hurt. As things stand, most scientists adhere to the theory that the universe started with the Big Bang, but what exactly is likely to happen in the far future? Will everything end as quickly as it began, or will, as some scientists suggest, end with the eventual heat death of the universe? That sounds horrible. The heat death of the universe? That doesn't sound good. In a new paper, two theoretical physicists have taken a new look at another theory, one suggesting that the universe may actually end in a big crunch, in which the cosmos will contract back into the single infinitesimally small point before beginning again with another Big Bang event. That's what I thought. Honest to God, I thought that. If it's expanding, maybe at some point it's just going to recontract again. But anyway, enough of me. It's not a me party here, but I just thought I'd throw that in because I was kind of proud that I actually had that thought. This idea of a cyclical universe is not new, but what is new is how these physicists have approached the problem, and their solution is all to do with something known as dark energy. The pair believe that this mysterious form of energy, which is thought to be behind the continued and accelerated expansion of the universe, may periodically switch on and off, resulting in either an expanding or shrinking universe. Yikes. If the universe did go through an infinite succession of bounces, then dark energy may drive the expansion up to a certain point, after which it would stop and start contracting. Once it contracts down far enough, another Big Bang would trigger, and so the process repeats. If true, this would mean that we may simply be living in one cycle of the universe, that the cosmos and everything in it will essentially be created and destroyed over and over again for all eternity. Actually proving this theory, however, is another matter entirely. Wow, that's kind of deep, really.
Yeah, and we shouldn't live in fear about this because it's billions of years in the future that this would even occur. So,
yeah, well,
we're good,
right? So, like, the universe is, they say nothing can move faster than the speed of light, but actually, the universe expansion is faster than the speed of light. So, things do move, but it seems that the universe is like the bubble of reality, and everything outside of it doesn't matter. So whether it's contracting or expanding, you probably won't notice it for trillions of years or so. And even then, we'll probably be in other universes anyway by then.
We won't even be here anymore.
Yeah, we'll just be some kind of energy, intelligent energy in the cosmos. I don't know. Well, I hope not extinct. Jeez, let's have a little optimism here, shall we? Jeez, Captain Negative.
I'm just saying it's possible.
No, unfortunately, it is possible, and that's the scary version.
Oh, Rachel got me. She said, "What about reincarnation?" You're right. And like, I don't know, what would it be? A million lifetimes later, we'll all be experiencing the end of the universe. You're right, Rachel.
Well, yeah, there you go. True, but for those of you that didn't know that before you got here, you're welcome. Now you've got things to think about. So let me do that. And we'll pull up the next article on our news tonight. And this one's a weird one. I had not heard of this at all. And I'm sure most of you haven't either. But apparently we are being invaded, ladies and gentlemen. Just when you think you knew what was going on the farm, you might be wrong. Because, according to unexplained-mysteries.com, intelligent hybrid super pigs are starting to invade the United States. What the hell's an intelligent hybrid super pig? Are they good eating? I don't know what that means.
Super bacon.
But Mom, I wanted the super bacon this morning. Yeah, there you go, folks. Not just your normal pork chops. You can get super chops now. I don't know. I don't know what this means. It might sound like the pilot of a movie or the plot of a movie, but these so-called super pigs are very much the real deal. Larger and hardier than typical domestic pigs, these brainy and highly resilient hogs were bred by Canadian farmers by combining domestic pigs and wild boars to create a hybrid species capable of withstanding the country's freezing winter temperatures. The idea worked, perhaps too well. But when demand for the animals dropped around 20 years ago, some farmers chose to release the pigs into the wild, and they've been surviving there ever since. Well, that's always a great idea.
Why?
Be free.
Use your brains.
Be free. It says now they're heading south into the United States, and they are proving extremely difficult to get rid of. Wild hogs feed on anything, Ryan Brook, leader of the University of Saskatchewan's Canadian Wild Pig Research Project, told Field and Stream. They gobble up tons and tons of goslings and ducklings in the spring. Oh, God, I didn't know that. So
Oh, yeah.
They eat ducks and geese. And they can take down a white-tailed deer, even an adult. Originally, it was like, wow, this is something we can hunt. But it's become clear that they're threatening our white-tailed deer, elk, and especially waterfowl, not to mention crop damage. The downsides outweigh any benefit wild hogs may have as huntable species. As things stand, the pigs have made it into North Dakota, and over time, they are likely to multiply and spread across the mainland United States. Whether or not it will be possible to stop them remains unclear.
Oh my God.
What the hell?
This sounds like a threat.
Why? Why is it that we just can't leave things alone? Right?
Well, not even that, but then they just release them. This new species.
That's my point. It's like Killer Bees version 3 or 4 or whatever the hell we're on now. It's like,
we keep doing that?
First, let's see if we can make it. Okay, that worked. Oh, there's no demand. Why? What the hell do they mean there's no demand? Aren't people still eating pig? I don't understand. But the demand ceased, and so the farmer said, go be free. Yeah, I can't see how that could go wrong. Yep, there you go, folks. Another man-made intervention that definitely went south. So now we got super pigs invading the U.S. Thank you, Canada.
Thanks. Thanks, Rachel. No, I'm just kidding.
Blame Canada. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. I guess maybe they needed help with their pigs up there. And then they got it, and then they decided to free them. Well, that was probably the worst move in a whole series of bad moves. So I don't know what to say. That's just all kinds of dumb. All right, let's go to the next one. This is weird. I didn't know this was even a thing, but apparently it is. And I don't understand what the hell's going on. I'm kind of excited to read this one because it is very troubling. And the troubling part is, according to unexplained-mysteries.com, and the science and technology category, 19-year-old is the youngest person ever to be diagnosed with Alzheimer's.
Whoa.
19.
My God.
Right? The patient, who hails from China, has been experiencing problems with his memory for the better part of 2 years. A 19-year-old man from China has been having memory problems since the age of 17. Was diagnosed with dementia, according to a recent case study published in the Journal of Alzheimer's Disease. After conducting a barrage of tests, researchers at the Capital Medical University in Beijing diagnosed the teen with probable Alzheimer's disease. If the diagnosis is correct, he will be the youngest person ever to be recorded with the mind-robbing disease. The main risk factor for the disease is getting old, which makes this latest case so unusual. What has he got, like some form of progeria that's aging his brain? Just his brain? I don't know. The exact cause of Alzheimer's are still largely unknown, but a classical feature of the disease is a buildup of two proteins in the brain, beta amyloid and tau. In people with Alzheimer's, beta amyloid is usually found in large quantities outside the neurons, brain cells, and tau tangles are found inside axons and long, slender projection of neurons. However, scans failed to show any signs of these features in the 19-year-old's brain, but the researchers did find abnormally high levels of a protein called p-tau 181 in the patient's cerebral spinal fluid. This typically happens before the formation of tau tangles in the brain. Nearly all cases of Alzheimer's disease in people younger than 30 are due to inherited faulty genes. I didn't even know that.
Oh.
Indeed, the previous youngest case is a 21-year-old that had a genetic cause. 3 genes have been linked to Alzheimer's disease in the young: amyloid precursor protein, presenilin, and presenilin 1 and presenilin 2. Okay. These genes are involved in producing a protein fragment called beta amyloid peptide, a precursor to the previously mentioned beta amyloid. If the gene is faulty, and it can lead to an abnormal buildup, plaques, or of beta amyloid in the brain, a hallmark of Alzheimer's disease, and a target for treatments such as the recently approved drug lecanemab, People only need one of APP, PSEN1 or PSEN2 to be faulty to develop Alzheimer's disease, and their children have a 50-50 chance of inheriting the gene from them and developing the disease too. However, genetic cause was ruled out in this latest case as the researchers performed a whole genome sequence on the patient and failed to find any known genetic mutations, and nobody in the teenager's family has a history of Alzheimer's disease or dementia. The young man also has no other diseases, infections, head trauma that might explain his condition. It is clear that whatever form of Alzheimer's he has, it is extremely rare. Severely impaired memory. This is a little bit longer one, but it is very interesting because this is a brand new thing, and I don't know. That's frightening. At the age of 17, the patient started having problems concentrating on his school studies, and this was followed a year later by the loss of his short-term memory. He couldn't recall if he'd eaten or done his homework. His memory loss became so severe that he had to drop out of high school. He was in his final year. The probable diagnosis of Alzheimer's disease was confirmed by standard cognitive tests used to detect memory loss. The results suggested his memory was severely impaired. The brain scans also showed that his hippocampus, a part of the brain involved in memory, had shrunk. This is a typical early sign of dementia. A brain biopsy would be too risky, so understanding the biological mechanism of his dementia is difficult. And this case remains a medical mystery at this point. Cases of early onset Alzheimer's disease are on the rise in younger patients. Why? That's not good. Sadly, this is unlikely to be the last such rare case that we hear about. I mean, my God, could you imagine your child, not even out of the house yet, is losing their memory? And I mean, that's debilitative. And that's completely debilitative. Postdoctoral research. The article is republished from The Conversation under a Creative Commons license. So I don't know what you guys think of that, but that I find frightening. And the frightening part, I think, is the fact that a lot of things are new. A lot of things. Maybe we just have better tools to be able to look into weird deaths that were just somehow written off by medical examiners or whatever, and now we can start to really look at what's going on and what's going wrong, whereas we couldn't before. I mean, are they new, or are they just newly discovered? And that's anybody's guess. I don't know.
Oh, true.
Right?
A misdiagnosis could even do it, like as far as writing people off. Yeah.
Well, I think, no slight to any medical examiners and stuff, but they only have, it depends on what their workload is like, but they can't just dive into every person and go, well, we have to, they look for the probable things. And when they find something, if it's a mystery, they probably just ascribe it to, whatever they do find, whether it's just symptomatic and not really the cause. They may make it the cause just for, the sake of finishing their job. So, yeah. And I don't know. I mean, the human body is an incredibly complex mechanism. So there could be any number of things going on, but that's to me is frightening. 19.
That's tragic. He just became an adult. He has Alzheimer's. Like he won't even be able to experience most, if like hardly any of it.
And if he does, he's not going to remember it. So sorry, that was in such poor taste.
I wouldn't even make that joke. And
I'm probably going to burn in hell for that, but in hell I'll be in good company, I guess. I don't know.
Oh my God!
Come on, that was kind of clever. That one was intentional. Sometimes they're intentional. They're not all just. Wait, did I just say something? I do have a sense of humor, but of course my heart goes out to that young man. I just can't imagine. What?
Alzheimer's is a horrible condition. It breaks my heart whenever anybody has that, but especially in this case, like usually it's with older people who have experienced a lot of their lives already.
Yeah, they're in the twilight of their years. Yeah, usually. But
basic child. Actually, when he was diagnosed, he was a child. Like,
Well, he's
I
17.
mean, he was a teenager, but still.
Yeah. But that's
But,
still, he really hasn't been able to really make a mark in life. I mean, he got to the age where he's basically an adult, and it's like, hey, game over. And that's cruel. It's hard to understand that. But maybe, the other part of it is that really makes me kind of cringe is that what are the possibilities that this arose due to our modern lifestyles somehow? Is it from some form of things that have been introduced in our diets that really probably shouldn't be, and this is, a genetic or a byproduct of that by having, Franken foods instead of real foods and things like that. Is this what this could possibly mean? Is it from medicines? Is it from, something else, pollutants, any number of things? It's hard to know. And that's the scary part because you don't know. So I guess all you can do is just try to live as healthy as you can and make the best choices. But God, it's frightening. What happened?
So, Laura Lovegood said, Brett, that was hilarious.
Thank you.
It was funny. It's just usually you're the tame one. And like, that's something I could see Don or me coming up with, not you. You're the more innocent one.
No, I'm not all that innocent. I just play innocent. Thank you, Laura. I appreciate it.
No, but seriously though, that it could, especially since this takes place in China, where like a lot of them, isn't it the number one country where pollutants like atmospheric and otherwise are caused?
I don't know if it's the number one, but I mean they certainly have a lot of issues with their carbon footprint, I would say. And, in all of that glory, but I mean they certainly they certainly could clean up a bunch, and who knows? I mean this is that opinion is based only on what we know. I mean, it's not like information flows freely from China. So we don't know everything that's going on over there. We can only speculate. True. So who knows? I mean, they could be experimenting on their own populace. Who knows? It's anybody's guess. But that's sure a shame because that poor kid didn't deserve that. Not that anybody does, but at 19 years old, 17 years old, when he started losing his short-term memory, it's like, oh, man. Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. So, but I'm glad that joke wasn't lost completely.
That took me took me aback. Oh my God.
Well, yeah, I can be full jerk in a heartbeat. I just choose not to be. I use my powers for good usually, but
it's very refreshing. I don't mind.
Thanks. Thanks. You celebrating my corruption. All right. I appreciate it. All right, next up in the news is from unexplained-mysteries.com. New documentary explores town with the most UFO sightings in the world. You heard it right. And it's not in the U.S. It's the small town of Bonnybridge in Scotland has become synonymous with sightings of unidentified flying objects. Since the 1990s, the town, which is situated around 4 miles west of Falkirk, has seen a disproportionately large number of UFO sightings. And nobody can explain why. The earliest sighting was reported in 1992 by local businessman James Walker, who had been driving between Falkirk and Bonnybridge when he was stopped by a mysterious, luminous, star-shaped object that was hovering in the middle of the road. The encounter ended when the object flew off at incredible speed. In the months and years that followed, hundreds of UFO sightings were reported in the region, including accounts of alien abductions and people being buzzed by strange objects in their cars. Even now, decades later, people are still seeing things in the skies over the area. Back in January, a short documentary, The Bonnybridge Files, the town with the most UFO sightings in the world, was released, which explores the phenomena in some detail. It features an interview with local councillor Billy Buchanan, who has spent years petitioning the government to conduct a proper investigation into the mystery. Since this first happened in 1992, I've went down to London to every prime minister that's been in since that period of time, asking them to do an investigation into the Bonnybridge phenomena, he said. When the Scottish Parliament was set up, I went to the Scottish Parliament the same and asked them to investigate what was happening in the Bonnie Bridge area. The full documentary is available to watch below. I'll put a link. Obviously, we're not going to watch the full documentary here, but I'll put a link in the chat, and you guys certainly can watch it after the show, hopefully. Hopefully you don't leave to watch it, but it's there if you choose to check it out. That would be wonderful. So, how are we doing? It's 7:36. That's probably enough time with the news today. What do you think, Sheldon?
No, keep going. No, I'm just kidding. It's fine.
Well, I got archive ones that I'm going to go into tomorrow. So
Okay.
that was it for the current news. So, but yeah, Bonnie Bridge, go figure. I did not know that, but it's apparently the most UFO-y place in the world.
Not everything happens in the U.S. What?
Yeah, no. Yeah, ego check. Yep.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, there you go. All right, folks, that's going to conclude our journey into the Paranormal Portal news. Let's get back to the rest of the program. Here we go. Hang on. We're going in. Thank you, Chucky. I appreciate that. Chucky says, don't worry, we won't leave you. I appreciate that. I would rather not be left. I'd rather you stuck it out right here with me in the portal, because by God, otherwise I'd be an idiot talking
By God.
to myself.
Yeah, just by God.
By God, I tell you. All right. So that wraps up our news. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Thank you all for all of the entertainment. And hope you enjoyed all the stories. I don't know. I kind of pull them up at, like, oh, that looks interesting. Oh, that's new. Let's talk about that. So it's kind of recklessly, but I usually just scan the headlines and look for things that I think will be interesting. And then what I'm trying to do is look at the length of the article, so I don't pull up a 14-page one. It's like, oh, we can't read that. So I've done that a bunch on the show. Yeah, obviously. My show prep could obviously be a little higher quality, but what the hell? It's good for a few chuckles, right?
Oh, yeah.
All right. So we are back, ladies and gentlemen, and we got a bunch more to get to. And next, we're going to dive into the world of Discord, right, Sheldon?
That's right. Because
it's time for the Discord question of the week. How was that? How was that? Suspenseful? All right.
That was good echo. Yeah.
All right. Here we go. And as you'll notice, Sheldon just successfully spammed the hell out of a Discord link. So that is now in the chat. No, that's good. 3 is probably good. And basically, ladies and gentlemen, if you didn't know, the Paranormal Portal has a Discord server. And generally speaking, before the live shows, I post a paranormal question just to hear what you guys think. Those of you in the Discord, what you think. Because, I'll always through the shows, you hear my opinion, my take on things. And I could be right or I could be absolutely wrong. I don't know. Nobody knows. But this is an opportunity to put the ball in your court. Tell me what you think. There are no wrong answers. There's no right answers either, because we just don't know what's going on with most of this phenomenon. But I love the things you guys bring to the table and what you discuss. And so, again, I didn't have a chance before tonight's show to do a question of the week because my life has just been a crazy mess this week. So I've been on the phone and, dealing with business, dealing with the podcast servers and configurations and such. And it's just been absolutely crazy on top of trying to keep creating new stuff for you guys, whether it's here or on the podcast. Huh? What?
So what do you mean by this week?
Well, it's always a mess, but it's more of a mess this week because I've just been directed in way too many. My attention's going way too many directions this week. So,
That's fair.
But I did post a question there regarding the shows, the live shows. And so that's going to be the discussion tonight in the Discord question of the week, because I want to keep evolving these live shows. And I think one of the big kisses of death for any show is to just not evolve, to just be what it always is. And so I'm constantly trying to think of things we can do better, things we can do more of, and things we can do less of. So my question, and those of you in chat, feel free to pitch in what you guys think. Put it in capital letters at least, though, so that we'll see it. But the question has to do with the live shows. So Sheldon, do you want to read it and go through the responses?
I'm ready.
All
yes.
right. By all means.
So for today's question, the Friday show. I didn't get a chance to do a question for the Week Tonight show, but I do have a question regarding the future of the paranormal live shows, or the Portal live shows. What parts of the live shows are your favorite, and what parts are your least favorite? I'm working on some significant changes in how these shows are presented on YouTube, and your feedback is incredibly important to helping me mold the future of the shows. First responder ZX81V2 says, I always liked call-ins, but never enough time for many. Maybe doing a call-in show once a week could be a good thing. Let others share and save yourself some work. Just an idea. Love the current show formula, down to earth. And I agree. That's something that I believe we try to do, is being more down to earth, more community-based and whatnot.
Yeah.
Rachel 101 saying, Cryptid Corner is my favorites. Least favorites, there isn't any I can think of. You definitely do a lot of work on it. I think you're doing well with bringing in new viewers, maybe a new break videos in the videos of possession and poltergeist activity. If it's not hard to find ones you can use, that is.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's been on my list for a while, is to put in new break videos when we have them. That's something of another consideration that I'm working on, though, and yeah, we'll talk about that another time probably. But yeah, that's great feedback, both of you. And then
within, I really enjoy the news time and the call-ins. I don't really have a least favorite thing to mention, but if I did, it would probably be the Poltergeist movie audio. It's creepy.
That's funny.
That's perfect, though. It's perfect. That's the kind of vibe we want to give.
Yeah, creepy.
The creepy vibe. Yes, the creepy vibe.
We are the creepers. Yep. All right.
Okay, we're not.
I didn't mean it. I didn't mean it inappropriately.
See, there you go. There you go. Next one up is B. Mora. I like how you guys are relaxed enough to joke with your audience, and you reassure us that we're not in the fringe. In the fringe. Oh, in the fringe. Yeah, the news is fun.
Oh, good. Okay.
ZX81V2 also says, just don't get too serious. One reason I used to love watching KBS. Then you guys.
Yeah, Kev Baker show is what he's talking about. Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Yep.
Then you guys, you had a laugh and actually ask questions rather than accepting what you're told. Whatever your future, Brent, I wish you well on whatever changes you do.
Very nice.
Thank you, ZX81.
Yeah, no kidding.
Spicy Blue says, sorry, can't help you. I love the whole show. And that's also valid, Blue.
Aww,
that is also
thank
valid.
you. That's very sweet. That's very cool.
Wonder Woman saying, how about a themed call-in show every other week or once a week? 5-minute or less, time limit or approximate, new intros / extra videos. Always a fan no matter what the platform.
Oh.
Also, one break at the top of the hour. That was my suggestion. Nice.
Oh, okay. Well, we can do a top of the hour break on these non-commercial nights when we're not on the network. That way, we only do one break instead of three, and that'll probably work out good. So, about the top of the hour, we'll do a break. I'll just play one of them, and we'll just roll with that. But yeah, so the idea is that there are things that I want to do. I want to do, just to put it out there so you guys can hear, is one of the things I want to do is to do some pre-produced videos. Some of them I'm already working on, and those are investigation videos when I've gone on investigations and recorded some of the stuff. historically, I just kind of uploaded everything and just said, well, here, check it out. Well, it would get mild views at best. I mean, people just most of the time didn't really sit through them. And I thought, well, maybe they should be reformatted and recapsulized into something that's more of an episode. And so that's what I've been working on. And also a new investigation, the one that I did with Charles Howard Johnson in the hotel in the historical hotel in Spokane. There's some great stuff we captured there. I'm just having trouble merging one of my videos from one of the devices that I had on into the video thing in order to get it built. But I'm really excited about these things. We do have a call. I'll get to that in a second. But there's lots of things that I want to do. And that's where your opinions become important, because some parts of these live shows may become pre-produced segments that I release outside of the normal live shows. But I'm not quite crystal clear on what that means yet, or which segments for sure. But one of them may be the news that I might do a couple times a week, maybe even more commonly, but they'll be shorter segments of just news of the paranormal on the Paranormal Portal. They'll be pre-produced videos that I'll put out that'll go over something paranormal that I've read and discussed, and we can still do some news on the live shows, but I don't know, might get a little redundant at that point. So these are things I'm throwing around. So pre-produced videos are going to be part of the new version of the YouTube channel going forward, as well as these live conversational streams, because I love this. I don't have any vision of not doing the live shows. Maybe I would go down to one longer show a week and do more pre-produced videos is something I'm thinking about. Maybe it would be 2 live shows a week at the 2-hour marks, and then a few pre-recorded videos. I don't know. I'm just throwing around ideas. I'm gonna probably do some test videos and just see how they do, and if they get some attention. It's a lot of work doing these shows. It really is, but I love the work, and so it is a labor of love. But at the same time, I want to make sure I'm bringing you guys the shows you want to see, because if you don't want to see it, as much as I love doing it, it's a waste of my time. So I just want it to be something that you guys as the audience are enjoying, and that I'm enjoying doing as well, with all of it together. So those are some of the thoughts that I'm thinking of, and I appreciate your feedback. I've never heard of Denim Danger. Oh, okay. That's just a side conversation. All right. Fave news, least fave Discord question, but I think majority of audience likes it overall. Okay, Consquatch, thank you. Overall, a great show. Thank you. I appreciate that. And the reason I love the Discord question of the week is because it gives you guys a voice in these phenomena, because I don't know this stuff. Nobody does. I have a lot of ideas. I've thought about it, obviously, a bunch, and I've formulated some theories, but I do like your guys' feedback on that a lot. So I don't see that going anywhere, because I love what you guys put on the table. And you guys have put stuff out there that have never occurred to me. And it's been like, wow, those are epiphany moments for me. So we'll be continuing that for sure. But maybe the Discord question of the week will just be one question per week on one show. I don't know. So these are all things I'm thinking of. Again, thank you, Chucky. I appreciate that. He says, sounds cool, Brent. Brent, we're here for a reason. The lighthearted entertainment. Thanks, John. I appreciate that. Yeah, but let's get to our call and find out just what's going on here. And let's see. This is area code 636. You're on the air.
Hello.
Hi. How you doing?
Hello.
Good. How are you guys doing tonight?
Oh, we're doing wonderful. Thanks for calling in. Who are we talking to?
This is Rob.
Hi, Rob. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Rob.
What's on your mind tonight, brother?
Well, I had texted in. I always listen to your guys' show, Brent. I've been a fan for a very long time. I've called in with the paranormal things before, but this one, it's my daughter. She had a Sasquatch encounter.
Wow.
Oh.
And on the YouTube chat, it's Alora Lovegood.
Okay.
And
okay.
Well, yeah. And anyway, so I listen to paranormal, and I always have since my daughter she's 22 now. Well, she's an adult.
Okay.
She's still a baby to me, but she's an adult, and they're always going to be, babies.
Yeah.
But anyway,
sure.
I always listen to paranormal stuff, Sasquatch stuff ever since, and they were growing up, and they always said, "Oh, Dad, that's bull, blah 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 blah." They've had their stuff, this and that, whatever.
Sure.
But anyway, so long story short, my daughter's great-grandmother passed away in Cleveland, okay? And we live in South Carolina. Her mother came to pick her up to go to her funeral, okay? On the way back, they're driving, and they're going down Highway 17 South, and because I asked her every question, where were you, what mile marker were you, all this stuff, because I was so intrigued. She freaked out, right? Because I always listen to this stuff, and they're always like, "Oh my gosh, Dad, you're so crazy. There's nothing like that. Blah 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 blah. You're nuts, right? I'm crazy old man, right?" So they're driving down divided highway in West Virginia border on Highway 17 South, okay? And I'm at work at this time. Like I said, I live in South Carolina at this time, and it was in the afternoon. She calls me, and this is like a day sighting.
Oh, wow.
My daughter, of all people, calls me. I see her phone number. I see her pop up on my call log, and I answered it right away because I was like, "What's going on?" Because she don't hardly ever call me at this time. It was just rare. You know what I mean? Sure. I was like, "What's going on? Are you guys?" Because I knew she was with her mom. Okay. Coming back from her great-grandma's funeral, this and that and the other, whatever. And I was like, "Are you guys okay? What's going on?" She's like, "Dad, oh my God, you're not going to believe what I just," blah, 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 and just going crazy. 1,000 miles an hour. Just da-da-da-da-da. I'm like, whoa, slow down. What's going on? She's like, "We're on this highway." And it's like, she starts, as I'm breaking it down, and she's breaking it down to me, I'm like, "Listen, okay, where were you?" She's like, "It's like a divided highway, and we just crossed the border from West Virginia into Virginia. We're on Highway 17 South." And I look over, and I'm just looking out the window, and all of a sudden, I just see this huge figure. It's like 8-9 foot tall, and it's got these long arms. And she's like, "It's real, Dad, it's real." And I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. She's like, "I know you're not crazy anymore. I just seen it. I swear to God." And I was like, "I told you I haven't been crazy this whole time."
Yes.
Oh, that's very powerful.
So I go to sightings, you can Google stuff like that, and I go to the BFRO and this and that and the other sightings in that area, and there's accounts of the same, I guess, encounters along that stretch of highway in that area. And I sent it to her, and she was just amazed. She was like, not only that, so then she was like, she started going into the denial stage. She was like, I didn't see that. That's not what I saw. I didn't see that. And I'm like, I said, "Hon, there's stages of this." I said, I've never seen anything like that. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I've seen paranormal stuff. I've seen ghosts. I've had my own paranormal stuff, but I've never seen cryptid stuff. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, but I've always believed in it for whatever reason, because I've had that paranormal aspect of it. So I'm like, it changed my world. I'm like, of course there's other things in this world that are, come on.
Sure.
That's crazy. And she's like, but she's not the type of person to be like, "Oh my God, I can't believe it. This is real, blah, 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 blah." And she described it. She's like, "I seen this." She was like, it was like its legs were shorter, but its arms passed down between its legs, and it was like grabbing from tree to tree. Wow. And if you can imagine like a divided highway. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like you're going northbound and southbound, and then you got like a grass median in between, and then you got like woods on either side.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. That's
Well,
really
they're
cool.
coming southbound on that highway, and she said she's just looking out the window, la 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 la. And I was like, "Well, you didn't get a picture of it?" She's like, "Dad, it was so fast." She's like, "I couldn't believe it." And her mom's not the type of person either. She was just like, she was on. I heard her on the, on speakerphone. She's like, "Oh my God, you're not crazy, blah blah blah. I seen this thing. Oh my God, it was all black and da 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 da."
Wow. So they both saw it.
Yes.
Wow, that's really cool. How far off of the road was it?
That's what I asked her, and she's like, "Well, I'm not too good on." When I picture it, I'm thinking like a divided highway. You're going north and south, and you have a grass median. And I'm thinking no more than like maybe 50 yards, no more than in between 30 and 50 yards.
Oh, okay. Wow.
She said it was going like it was grabbed. She goes, "Dad, it was like it grabbed the tree in front of it and pulled itself to it, and then like just kept going." She said it was all black. She was like, "It was amazing." She
incredible.
goes, "Dad, it was amazing." She goes, you can't even believe. And like I said, she's in that denial stage now. She's like, "I didn't see that. I didn't see that." I'm like, "Yes, you did."
Yeah.
Like, because I asked her, because she's a very good artist, artist that run in our family.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I told her, I said, "When you get home, draw what you saw.
Okay.
Draw what you saw."
Good.
Like, seriously, write it down and draw it and everything. And she's just like, I can't because I can't believe it. That's not what I saw.
Oh.
She's like, I didn't see it. I didn't see that, Dad. I said, "Hun." And I did the same thing. I was like, "You're not the only one."
Yeah. Yeah.
And then like the next day I was coming over, she was like, "Do you think you could get me some Jack Daniel's wine coolers?" I was like, "That's the next spot." I said, "That's the next part of it." I said, "There's denial,
Yeah.
and then there's drinking it away." I said, "Don't do that, because
Right.
that's not." I keep trying to, and the more I push her, and I try not to so much,
Sure.
but the more I push her, it seems like
the more she's fighting back.
exactly. The more
Yeah.
she's fighting, unless it's like the paranormal stuff. Now, the paranormal stuff that she's seen,
Mm-hmm.
she'll come right out with it. And you'll be like, "Dad, you ain't gonna believe this, but this and that and the other." And I'm like, "Well, but that's been since she was little. I was little."
Right.
But the cryptid stuff, she's like, "You're crazy. You're nuts." Because I listen to your guys' podcast. I listen to Sasquatch Chronicles. I listen to, all of them. All of them.
Sure.
And she's just like, "No, you guys are nuts, and da da da. This is crazy. How can da 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 da?" I'm like, "No, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
I'm telling you."
Yeah. I mean, it's the whole paradigm thing is hard. It's hard because suddenly what you don't know anymore, and it's just it's like you're saying, it's normal psychology for people to push back against that because they want to get back to where they were, because all of a sudden things become uncomfortable, and I can't blame her for that. I mean, it's a hell of an adjustment, even for people that do believe. When they do finally see one, it's just like, it's still these transformative experiences. So it's very, very powerful. We did have a question in the chat from Ken Squanch. He says, any facial features or skin color did she mention?
No, I asked her that too, because I was astonished, and I was like, see, I told you. She was like, no. She goes, "Dad, it was like," she goes, "it was like, it was all black." She was like, it was just like, almost like wearing a hood. She goes, "This thing was so huge, Dad." She goes, "Dad, it was huge."
Yeah.
And she's like, and I asked her, I was like, "Did you see a face?" And she's like, "No, I just seen like a profile of it from the side walking." And she goes, but like that in itself, she's like, the legs were, she's like, almost like the shins were smaller than what they should have been.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is what she said. She's like, the shins were real small, and the hands and the arms, like the arms hung down almost past the knees where the shins were. And she said it was very odd looking. And like I said, I'm trying to get all this out of her. And she's like, oh my God, like 1,000 miles an hour. And I was like, slow down, babe, slow down.
Right.
All right. Cause I was the same way. Cause I'm like I said, I listen to you guys. I listen to, Sasquatch Chronicles and everything. I'm like, okay, slow down. Listen to me.
Yeah.
You need to draw it. What you saw.
Yep.
Exactly. And she's like, it's just certain features, when you see something like that and you're not expecting it, you just focus on one thing. You know what I mean? You're like, oh my God, that thing is so huge. And she was like, Dad, it had to have at least been 8 foot tall. She's like, there's no way it was any less than 8 foot tall because of the way the trees were. You know what I mean? There was big trees there.
Sure.
She said it was just grabbing the tree in front of her or in front of it and pulled it to it.
Wow. That's powerful.
And that's why she was like, she noticed it in the next arm. It like it was like the left arm pulled the tree, grabbed the tree and pulled it in front of it. And the right arm was swinging back.
Oh, okay.
And it was kind of like in that hunched mode, like almost like she was like, almost like it was going with us, but it was so amazing. She was like, Dad, she was like, it was so dark. She was like, it was even in the daytime, it was so dark.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, that's kind of weird.
It is. Now, how about her mom? Did she talk about it much, or is she kind of questioning the whole thing now again too?
She didn't question it so much. She was just like, I've never seen anything like that. Or and she, I mean, she's like I said, it was her mom. We grew up. We had her when we were young.
Okay.
Sure. You know what I mean? But
yep. We've
had paranormal experiences together and stuff like that. But she was like, and she always thought the same thing. She's like, you're crazy, this and that and the other. But she's like, I've never seen her, like, she's like, I caught a glimpse of it. Like when she was saying, she was like, cause they're always talking. Like you can't shut the two of them up together. I can only imagine being in a car ride with them. It's like mouth like diarrhea, just running. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah. Well, that's good. They must have a good relationship.
She was like, all of a sudden they just got real quiet, and I looked over, and she was like, "What do you? Oh, what was that?" She goes, "That's you saw that?" Blah 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 blah.
Right.
And they just started going, and then and like I said, I was at work, and she called me at 2 p.m.
Wow.
And I see her, her name pop up on my phone, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, something's going on because they're on their way. I know they're on their way home because she texted me. She goes, "Hey, Dad, we're on our way home, blah, 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 blah."
Right.
We're only a few hours out. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, something happened. So when she called me, I picked up right away. She's like, "You're not going to believe what I just saw." And I hear her mom in the background going, "Oh my God, yes. I've never seen her so speechless and not saying anything. I don't know what there was either. I just caught a glimpse." Blah, 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 blah.
Wow.
And the both of them going back and forth. And I'm just like, okay, shush.
That's really cool. I'm glad she had that experience. I guess if you're going to see one, that's a pretty good way to see one because they were in the safety of the car moving and stuff. But, I think seeing them face to face kind of thing would just be absolutely terrifying. But if you're going to see one, seeing one from a traveling car is a pretty good bet.
Yes, sir. And that's why I was like, wow, that was like amazing. And because she's not that type of person. My oldest daughter, she's not that type of person. You know what I mean? Like,
sure.
We've had our paranormal experiences together when we were younger and growing up in certain places. And she still even talks about it to this day. She's like, "Dad, you remember when this?" But I listen to, you guys, Sasquatch Chronicles and everything else. And she's just like, "Man, I don't know about that." And then she saw it. She's like, "Dude, you're not going to believe." And she's just going 1,000 miles an hour.
Wow. That's awesome.
She's like, "You're not going to believe what I just saw." And I'm like, "What?" She's like, "A Bigfoot." And I was like, "No, you didn't." I was like, "Don't play with me." She's like, "Dad, I swear to God."
Wow. Well,
she's like, "I'm not messing around." She's like, "I've seen it." And she explained it to me just like I did with you guys. Yeah. He was like, they're driving down the highway and is probably, and this is what I imagine because she explained it to 30 to 50 yards off a divided highway. And there's a highway and then there's woods. And she's just like, it just grabbing the tree and pulled it down, pulled it towards it.
Yep.
And the other arm was swinging. She's like, Dad, this thing had to have been 8 foot tall at least.
Yeah.
It was huge.
And the other interesting take is that's a very that type of locomotion in woods is often observed where they're not only using their feet but they're using their arms and the trees. That comes up quite a bit. So, and that's not something
right. And that was the first thing I had said, because I was like I said, I'm sorry to interrupt, sir,
no,
but
okay.
I was like, okay, give me every detail. I was like, what do you remember? And I could only, it was overwhelming for her because she was like, okay, just shut up because you only focus on one thing. She was just like, This thing was so big. And I remember like, it was like its legs looked shorter, but its arms were so long, and it just kept striding. It grabbed the tree and it pulled it to it.
Yeah.
And then its other arm was swinging, and it was like, and I asked her too, I was like, did you see anything? She was like, I see like a back profile, and it was just huge and blah, 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 blah.
Wow.
And going on and on and on. I was like, that's amazing.
That's amazing.
And I didn't shame her. I was like, that's amazing, hon. I was like, the first thing I did after I talked to her, I looked on the like sightings. I was like, Southern Virginia, West Virginia sightings, and there was probably one. It was on the BFRO, and it was in like 1984 or 85, 86, something like that, in the mid 80s, and it was the exact same thing.
Well, that's really cool. Yeah, but that type of. Well, I'm sorry, Sheldon. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just saying that's amazing.
It really is, and I'm glad she had the experience. I'm sure she'll probably come to terms with it eventually, but it's a lot to process when you don't think something is real and then suddenly it's real. So just
exactly like I said, like with the like the cryptid stuff, I believe it. Not everybody, and my family thinks I'm nuts, and that's fine. I am. I'm not here in the spoiled herd. I'm telling you.
Sure.
But like with the paranormal stuff, and they've experienced that, and they're like, "Oh yeah," and I'm like, "Well, we've experienced this stuff, guys. Why wouldn't you think this stuff is real?"
Right.
The other stuff, like the cryptid, like the Bigfoots or the Gugwees or the the skinwalkers and all this other stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like,
sure,
you got to think outside that box. And she was just out of her mind, just talking 1,000 miles a second. You want it? Blah, blah, blah. I was like, I just kept going. I told you.
Well,
she can't call you crazy anymore.
Yeah, well, she shouldn't. Yeah, because she saw it. But that's really powerful, man. I'm really glad you called in and shared that with us, brother. That's really cool.
Well, I appreciate it. I thought I would call in and do that because she's embarrassed too. Like I said, she's in that like the 5 stages of denial. You know what I mean? There's like depression, and then there's like denial, and then there's like, yes, I did, and then there's like the drinking part of it. And she's like, stop and get me some Jack Daniels. I'm like, what are you talking about? She's like, I can't think about this. Yeah. I'm like, I'm not stopping and getting you Jack Daniels. You're crazy.
Well, just please. If you talk to her, just tell her that we think it's an amazing sighting, and she's among some very rare individuals that have managed to see them in real time and in daylight of all times. So that's an incredible sighting.
It was like I said, it was like afternoon time.
Yeah, that's really cool.
It was like 2:30 in the afternoon. I was like, that's wild. She's like, Dad, it was so dark. She's like, everything around it. She was like, it was black as can be.
Yeah.
And wow, that's amazing.
Most eyewitness sightings are in daytime. I mean, they may not be truly nocturnal. I mean, they might be very active during the days, but we just come to this conclusion that they must be nocturnal. But I think they can be either or, depending.
Right. Well, and she was asking me a bunch of stuff, and I was like, "Hun, I don't know exactly what they are, but I hear a lot of stuff and there's a lot of caverns, and it was in a mountainous region." I said, they probably lived in the earth. You know what I mean? Like the giants, like in the day, they lived in the earth in those days.
Yep. Yeah, that could very well be. Yep.
You know what I mean? So
I do. Yep.
It makes sense.
Well,
they live in the mountains. They live in the earth.
Yeah. I think the other powerful part is that she has you to talk to if she chooses to, and can share that, and you can help her understand it. And that's something I think a lot of witnesses don't have. So that's really powerful as well.
Right, exactly. I'm crazy, and I'm just as crazy as she is. So,
That's right.
Well, very cool.
and I wouldn't say crazy, but I believe, you know what I mean? Like,
Sure.
I'm not going to be like, I haven't had that experience, but hun, that's amazing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
she had somebody to call and be like, oh, maybe I'm not crazy. Maybe,
Right.
am I crazy? No. I'm going to call my dad. He's a fruit cake, or, you know what I mean? Like, he's a nutcase, so I'll call him.
Yeah, and you know, I mean, there's always the possibility those things are just mistaken identity kind of things. But the fact that she observed it grabbing trees and pulling itself along it's not a really widely understood part of their locomotion, but it is reported quite often. If you dig into the reports, you'll see people have seen them doing just that. So the fact that she observed that behavior really drives it home that she saw what she saw. You know, I mean, she saw the real deal.
Oh, I know.
It sounds like.
You're right. And exactly, like, because she was like, its legs were so weird because they were like bent and they were like smaller. She was like, it was almost like its shins were smaller than everything else, but it was so big.
Yeah.
She's like, his legs were so small, but it's big, huge.
Yeah, they're all torso.
And I was like, wow, that's amazing.
Yep, they have a real strong torso and really less legs. It's kind of bizarre, but yeah, that's fantastic, brother. And I appreciate you calling in and sharing this, man. This is awesome.
Yeah, not a problem. If I have any more encounters, because I've called in a few times, me and my youngest daughter has called in with her paranormal experience, but I just, it's amazing. I just thought it was amazing. And I had to share it with somebody because she's not going to, because she's embarrassed to, or whatever the case. Maybe, hopefully, one day I'll get her to experience or to call in somewhere and just be like, hey, besides me, because, you know, I'm the crazy old man, call in.
Sure.
And
I'd love to talk to her. Love to talk to her.
Because you're not the only one.
And let
you
her,
know what I mean? So
let her know we believe in her sighting, you know, absolutely, and think that you know, she's experienced something extraordinarily rare, but I think incredible. So very cool, brother. And we'll be here waiting if you got more things to share.
Yes.
Absolutely.
All right, brother. Have a great night, and thanks again for calling in.
All right, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
We'll see you now.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
That's really cool. Yeah.
See, I think those are the stories I mean, even objectively, that I especially believe is the deniers who have a sighting.
Yeah, it'd be one thing if she was if she was already like, oh, they're out there. I know they're out there. Oh, I saw one. You know, and it's like, well,
yeah.
But she wasn't in that camp. She was in when the skeptics see something, to me, it's always incredibly powerful because it's a transformative thing. And, you know, I mean, I don't blame her for trying to get back to the world that she knew. Now, I mean, because it does change things. It changes. I mean, she might be an avid outdoors person, and now that's changed because there's these other things in the woods suddenly that didn't used to be there in her mind. And that can be tough. I mean, if you're a person that loves to go hiking and camping, and suddenly you become aware of the fact that there's 8, 9, 10 foot tall, you know, ape men out there that you don't know what the hell they're doing or what they want. That has a whole different gravity to it. That changes the dynamic completely. But you know, people see them quite regularly, more than is reported. A lot more than is reported, I'm convinced. But generally speaking, they just mind their own business and go, oh yeah, there's people. Let's get out of here. So they don't go out of their way to hurt people. They don't go out of their way to pursue people. They might intimidate people an awful lot just to get them away if they're too close. Rocks. Yeah, throw rocks or, you know, circle their camp at night, things like that, just to try to make them uncomfortable. It's very psychological. It's actually incredibly brilliant. It's very psychological that they make sure you don't ever have a restful night when you're there, that you're always on edge and on you know, feeling uneasy, and you can't quite sleep because you're too stressed. Well, the next day, all you think is, let's get the hell out of here, you know? So it's really a brilliant tactic. And then if you stay, they ramp it up and it gets more activity. It's like they're brilliant. I mean, it's truly psychological warfare.
Yeah,
it's incredible. I mean, that's why I have no doubt these are an incredibly intelligent being. They're not just these you know, animals. They're not just these thoughtless animals. They are calculating. And that behavior to me, as much as anything, really proves that. So,
yeah, it's one of those things. As a believer too, I mean, there's always a part of me that wants to experience, but then there's another part of me that's like when something becomes reality that you think you can handle, it changes everything. You think you're ready, but you never really are until it happens to you.
You see, that's the thing. I don't think I'm ever going to be ready to be walking through the woods and suddenly have a 9-10 foot tall thing step out in front of me. There's never going to be a point in my life where I'm prepared for that. It's just like, because you don't know. You just don't know.
That's true. We've talked about that. You don't know the temperament of the being that's going to be like. What if it's the pissed off one? What if it's the one that's just raging that day?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Is he? Yeah, did he call back in? Let me just see what's going on. I think he's back on the line here.
Okay.
Hey, area code 636. Is this still you?
Hello?
Hey, did you call back?
No, I was just listening to you guys. I thought I was put on hold, maybe.
Oh, no, I thought we were done talking. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, we are. I'm sorry. We are. I just...
No, by all means.
Holy shit, I was listening.
No, you can
listen to you guys.
Yep, hang out there and just relax and listen in.
Free.
I can hang up. I'm sorry.
No, you don't. You don't have to at all. I just wanted to check and see if you had more to share. So by all means, just hang out there and listen, and we'll continue on. Thanks again, brother, for calling in. That was awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
Have a good evening, brothers.
All right, we'll see you.
You too.
All right, very cool. I just saw the numbers there. I'm like, oh, he did hang up now. I'm sorry. I feel bad. Okay. I feel bad.
God, you look at there's intimidation. No one's kidding.
So Virgil Bowman says BFRO did identify a good friend of mine as a Bigfoot on the banks of the Mackenzie River. That was hilarious. Oh. Did you know, Virgil, that you were friends with Bigfoot? It's pretty special. Not many people can say that. So that's a very rare opportunity there. So you can just call him Squatch now. Your friend's new nickname is Squatch. All right. Speaking of Squatch, since we're kind of on the topic, and we're going through the night.
Oh my God! It's less than an hour left. What?
Yeah, I know. We're at 8:18. Wow.
Oh my God! Yep. Always happens every night.
The evening flies by, ladies and gentlemen, but it is a time warp in the portal. All right, so we're going to just go right from there into the cryptid corner. I think that's a perfect transition.
Oh, perfect segue. Let's go.
Let's go. All right. So first off tonight, we're going to head to the Sasquatch Chronicles blog, because there's some stories here that I wanted to share that we didn't get to last night. And these are generally cryptids. I have a couple phantoms and monsters too, but I don't know if we're going to get time for those. I got I got 1, 2, 3, 4 from, I'm going to do 2 Sasquatch Chronicles stories and then 2 of the phantoms and monsters. And I'll save 2 more Sasquatch Chronicles stories for tomorrow night, because it'll just be me. And, I'm going to need the material because it's harder to keep the conversation going all by myself. All right. So we're going to head to Sasquatch Chronicles blog, ladies and gentlemen. Again, special thanks to Mr. Wes Germer for letting us peruse these as fodder on the shows. These are always so great. I love the blog. Again, please check it out if you're not currently doing so, because there's so much on the blog that you don't hear on the podcast for Wes's show. You know, Sasquatch Chronicles is obviously an amazing show all by itself, but his blog is also amazing, and he works really hard every day keeping that current and posting things up there. So, please check it out. So we're going to go to a story from February 20th on Sasquatch Chronicles blog, and it's an upcoming show. And the title for the upcoming show, and I don't know if it's released yet or not. It's probably going to be coming out this weekend. So this is a little bit of a sneak peek. to one of the next episodes of Sasquatch Chronicles podcast, but it's called That Wasn't a Dire Wolf. And dire wolves are these enormous wolves that are, I mean, they're believed to be extinct, but they are, well, I think that's right. Yeah, that they're supposed to be extinct. They're not just supernatural, though. I've got a few different wolves going through my head currently as I'm saying this. So, but I think dire wolves.
Were dire wolves real?
Yeah, I think so. Let me just do a little quick search here.
I thought that was fantasy.
No, dire wolf. Home row. There we go. Home row. Yeah, dire wolf. It's an animal. And there's a Wikipedia here. What does the Wikipedia say about dire wolf? It's for the fictional creature. The dire wolf, or it's actually got a name, Anesocyandirus, is an extinct canine. Okay, yeah. It is one of the most famous prehistoric carnivores in North America, along with its extinct competitors, Smilodon. The dire wolf lived in the Americas and East Asia during the late Pleistocene, early Holocene epochs. The species was named in 1958, 4 years after the first specimen had been found. 2 subspecies are recognized, and I'm not going to try to read those Latin names. The largest collection of its fossils has been contained from the Rancho La Brea tar pits in Los Angeles. So there is a skeleton here as well. This is from the dire wolf entry on Wikipedia, and I'm going to put that on the screen as well because there's a skeleton here.
Before you do, let's thank Nathan Nates for the $10 donation.
Oh, thank you, Nathan Nates. Woo! Thank you, brother. It's on the screen now, and I'm looking for the size. Does it have? What is? It's probably going to be in meters and all that stuff, which means very little to me. Morphology. Where is it? Canis lupus. That's currently. Oh, Canis dirus. Canis dirus is the actual name. I don't know about size. I guess size comparisons, the average dire wolf proportions were similar to those of 2 modern North American wolves, the Yukon wolf and the northwestern wolf, Canis lupus occidentalis. It sounds like Roadrunner. Those Roadrunner cartoons that have like different names for the coyote and different names for the Roadrunner in fake Latin. Largest northern wolves today have a shoulder height of about 38 inches. And a body length of 69 inches, 69 inches, yeah. Some dire wolf specimens from Rancho La Brea are smaller than this, and some are larger. So, I don't know, they must have been, I think they were probably larger just given the time period that they were around. You had to be larger because the game was much larger.
Well, yeah, wasn't that the point? Was that they're supposed to be like one of the biggest wolves of past eras. Here they're saying they're like just as big as other wolves.
They're similar, they said, but there's some some specimens were found bigger, some were found smaller, which probably has to do with the age of the actual creature. But anyway,
that's so cool.
Yeah, it is. So it is an actual thing. It's not just a facsimile of fantasy. So it says, a listener writes, I'm writing this about an encounter my cousin and I had in the early 90s. I grew up in an area outside of Aberdeen, Washington, in a little town called Montesano. I live in Boise, Idaho now. My cousin and I were avid outdoors enthusiasts. I was 13 or 14 at the time, and my cousin was 10 years older than me. One of our favorite things to do was to track cougars and watch their hunting patterns. We had planned a 10-day backpack camping trip at a place called Spider Lake, and we had taken the back way through Matlock to get there. And there's a video of Spider Lake there. We had been hiking and following and watching a pair of juvenile cougars that had been traveling and hunting as a pair. Along with our gear, we were both armed with, and my cousin let me use his AR-15 as he had his SKS, which is a good confidence boost way out in the woods. We were on our 4-day in, and we were on our 4-day in, and we were about 1 hour or two behind the brothers. Just fascinated at how they hunted, almost like a pack. It was incredible. We had followed their tracks down to this light game trail, and we came to a small meadow of grass and ferns with a small embankment on the opposite side. To our left was a large patch of devil's clubs. I don't know what that is, some kind of weed, I guess. And we stepped out of the wood line. We smelled a dead animal that was not fresh. We could see the path through the ferns that led to a beaten down area. And when we got to it, there was a doe elk that had been dead for at least a day. It was tore up. Its guts were out. It had chunks torn off. And we could see where the brothers had picked at it. But the strange thing is, its throat was completely ripped out, and its neck was definitely broken. It was almost decapitated. The area around it looked like it had been thrashed to death, broken sticks, trampled brush, and the mud was all ripped up, and at this point, it was starting to drizzle pretty good, so we knew we were not far behind the brothers. But then we saw their tracks leaving as if they were running for their lives. You can tell when a cougar is running from fear and not to chase prey, and the tracks led directly to the Devil's Club thickets, which is crazy behavior. Most animals avoid them like the plague. And there was also a set of tracks leading up the embankment that looked like maybe wolf or bear. Hard to tell because it looked like they were sliding as they went up. So we crept up the little hill and peeked over the top. The wind was blowing directly in our face, and it was starting to rain really good. Washington rain. We could smell what seemed like a wet dog that had rolled in nasty dead meat. We were looking at a small gully about 30 or 40 yards across, with fallen snags and tall ferns, salmonberry bushes, and we sat there for a minute or two just watching when we saw it move. At first I thought it was a bear, but it was too big and it was jet black. It kind of lifted up and moved towards the other side in a way I can only describe as the way a lizard or a snake moves. It didn't bob. It looked like it was sliding or gliding. It went to the top of the little hill and stopped at a pine tree next to a fallen snag, and turned its head and nibbled on its side like a dog bites at a flea. I knew instantly it was some type of wolf dog. It turned back and sniffed the air. It had a long snout and what looked like a scraggly goatee, and its pointy ears were leaned forward like it could lay down on the top of its head. It shook like a wet dog from its head to its stubby tail. Its wet hair standing up, we could see its muscle mass. We were scared stiff at the mere size of this creature. It stood every bit of 5 feet at the shoulders and probably 400 pounds. Then what I saw next paralyzed me with fear and made my heart jump in my throat. It reached up, grabbed the tree with its right hand, and I saw fingers and an opposable thumb. It pulled itself up, stood on its hind legs. It must have been 6 feet or more. It sniffed the air again and turned and walked around the tree on its hind legs and kind of just rolled over the hill on all fours and was gone. But when it walked, its knees were bent like a human's, not a dog. We got the F out of there, looking back and ready to give this thing a world of hurt if it chased us. We hiked and ran all day until it was starting to get dark and made it back to the truck. We were about halfway down the mountain when I finally could speak. I looked at my cousin and said, "What the hell was that?" Without taking his eyes off the road, he said, "Direwolf." And I said, "There's no way that was a direwolf." He kept his eyes straight forward, and he said, "I know." And that was the only time I ever saw anything like that. Same with my cousin. Still don't know what it was. Wow. That was no direwolf.
What do you think it was?
Well, it sounds like a dogman. I mean, it sounds like it was a dogman, yeah. When it has an opposable thumb, that's no longer a canine. You know, it has
ain't quite a dire wolf.
it has canid features, but that size, 6 feet, you know, or more, standing up on its hind legs, knees bent like a human's, could be a skinwalker, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, with the wolf-like features, I mean, sounds pretty straightforward dogman, wouldn't you think?
Well, it's wolf-like features, but dog, the skinwalker, you got to understand, the skinwalkers don't always become coyotes. They are transformers. They become whatever skin they have. You know, it's not just a one way. I can become a coyote or a person or a dog. I mean, we've covered stories of skinwalkers becoming dogs, you know, and appearing before people like that. Obviously wearing the skin of a dog, but then becoming the dog, and then standing up on its back legs, and it looks more like a skin that it's wearing, and it winks, and then goes back down into dog form and runs away. I don't know. I mean, I'm on the outside looking into this kind of phenomena. I don't really understand it. The whole transforming thing of like skinwalkers is very foreign to my mind, because, you know, even though I have an open mind and I don't doubt that those are, you know, real phenomena that people are experiencing, I just don't understand the mechanics of it. It gets stuck here. It's like, how does that work? How does one thing become something else completely? But if energy is matter is energy, and energy can be manipulated, then, you know, maybe there's some kind of mechanics or something involved with their structure where they can shift themselves. I don't know. I mean, it's very, very strange. We look at, like, for instance, you know, things like cuttlefish and octopus can absolutely become a rock. Even though if you touched them, it would still be an octopus. They are nearly indistinguishable from a rock. You have to know what you're looking for to realize, hey, that's not a rock. And that's a incredible transformation. But this is a creature that has no rigid skeletal structure at all, you know, that can meld its body and change the colors and stuff. And that's, you know, certainly a natural example of something that is able to transform itself, but to embody the characteristics and skills of that thing is a whole different thing as well. So it does sound like a dogman to me in this report. It's not unheard of that there's dogman in Washington and Idaho here as well. There are reports out there. Pretty much maybe as common, not as common, I wouldn't say they're as common as Bigfoot. I think Vic Cundiff would disagree with me, but, you know, I just don't hear near the reports of dogman that I do of Bigfoot. Unless people are seeing dogman and saying, oh, that's a Bigfoot. I mean, there is that, but I don't know. I think they're not as common, but they don't have to observe state lines. You know, they don't have to stay in a territory. It's kind of like the big cats, like mountain lions. Mountain lions are observed all over the United States, even though many natural resources department would say, well, they're not over here. They're not here. It's like, really? Well, how come people are finding prints of big cats, and there's trail cam pictures of big cats, and people have witnessed big cats in their yard, but they're not there? So there does seem to be a pushback on the possibility of these things, even normal fauna. So when you think of other things, it's like, well, you know, they don't have to observe state lines, though. They don't stay within territories, because they just go where they go.
Speaking of sightings, where was this story cited at? Well,
it was from Washington State. It was Aberdeen.
Oh, Spider Lake, Washington. That's right.
Yeah. Spider Lake, Washington was where this took place. But the author lives in Boise now. But this
right. Okay.
This was a while ago.
So you're saying it's even possible for a skinwalker to resemble a dogman then in that case?
Well, I mean, they could. I don't see why they couldn't turn into some wolf type thing as well. There's stories of shamanic First Nations people turning into elk, of turning into bear, of turning into eagles and flying away.
Yeah, that's right.
So, I mean, if the skinwalker is indeed part of some fragment of the First Nations, then they seem to embody those shamanistic traditions, at least in maybe a darker version of it, but maybe not. I don't know. They might just be misunderstood. But at any rate, they seem to be able to transform into many different things, and it's not always having to be canine. But I don't know. Again, I only usually hear skinwalkers turning into wolves. There was a sighting of on Skinwalker Ranch actually before the Skinwalker Ranch crew that is there now. During the Bigelow years, one of the security guards, I interviewed a lady named Cheryl. She's an author that's written books. I can't remember her last name. Names don't stay in my head. But she said she interviewed one of the security guards back in the Bigelow years, and he was standing there and he saw this man up on top of the mesa. He was with another guard, and they were like, "Hey, what's that guy doing up there?" And they said as they watched, that guy was looking at them from up on the mesa, turned to like the side in a profile, and became a wolf and ran away. So that's a skinwalker, right?
That would be.
Yeah.
And like skinwalkers are very I'm kind of confused by them, because some stories depict them as these scary, terrifying people, then other stories depict them as shamanistic, like they're just kind of nature and such.
Think of it as like, generally speaking, skinwalkers are regarded by First Nations as very bad things. Like to the point that even the Navajo most of the Navajo communities will not talk about them. Not even mention the name, because it's believed that they become aware of you when you start talking about them, which means I'm screwed.
Yeah,
if that's the case,
now.
I'm so screwed for all the times that I've talked about skinwalkers on this show. But they don't regard them well at all. Like they are the worst of the worst in the First Nations that do have legends of a skinwalker. Not necessarily the skinwalker of the Navajo, but it's not only the Navajo that talk to these transforming, evil things. It was just most commonly people are aware of the Navajo legends. But there's other tribes that had legends of such things too.
But it's like that. There's ZX81V2 says skinwalkers are shaman spirits. They serve their purpose. Well, because then they're also I think you told me it, but where didn't the skinwalkers like fight with the Native Americans at times too?
Yeah, that's the Navajo legend that they were like the heroes. Skinwalkers were actually the heroes that basically fought with the ancient Navajo to fight off the Spanish incursion, and they turned them back, and they were fought fiercely, and they were regarded as these heroes of the tribe and were revered. And then it's like they according to the legends, they became twisted with their quest for power, and then they started to embrace darker practices, and then they were severed from the main tribal communities because of the horrible things that they were allegedly doing. So I don't know. You be the judge. I'm just telling it like I know, like I learned it. But
what do you do? I mean, like, there's some advice we can kind of give just to be more on the safe side of things, of the unknown. Sure. Well, like, what even advice would you give someone who encounters something like a skinwalker?
Well, the thing is curiously, they don't seem like they're hell bent on destroying everyone that they meet. It's quite honestly, in what I've extrapolated from talking about skinwalkers and reading the information I've been able to read, is they seem very fixated on a person, that for some reason somebody has crossed them and they are hell bent on revenge. Like they will move mountains to get to somebody to tear them apart. They do appear to other people, but they don't act aggressively towards them. They may act menacingly. Like there's a story where this person was in, I think it was in New Mexico. It was a younger girl, or no, it was a younger boy, I think, and and he was out with his cousin, and they encountered this. I'm paraphrasing this, so I might be brutalizing the hell out of it, but as I'm recalling it, they saw like this coyote climb up onto like a dirt pile, and then transformed into a woman, and it sat there and just stared, didn't say a word, just stared at these two younger people. And then they were watching it, and they were scared, and they were kind of frozen. And then she kind of smirked, gave them a smirk. And then they ran away. And it's not like it chased them. It just saw them and was like, hey, boo, boo.
Yeah.
So
Right.
it almost seems like sometimes they got a sense of humor. But it's a dangerous sense of humor, I think, because you don't know if you're the person that they're after. I think it almost seems like they are like a directed curse in some way, like, that maybe they are a force that can be directed or are directed by themselves or by some other power that controls them. I don't know. I mean, but they don't seem like they're just hell bent for leather. Anytime they see a living person, say, I'm going to kill you, I'm going to tear you up. But they have been known to tear people up, like shred them, so I don't know. Weird stuff, whatever they are. I don't know.
Yeah.
Again, the amount of information available on skinwalkers, for me, it's incredibly scarce to find much to talk about, much to look into, because, again, the communities that are most familiar with them generally don't talk about them. Like the elders don't share their wisdoms and stories outside of the tribes. And if they do, they never mention the name Skinwalker. So,
Well, even on top of that, I mean, you have a being or spirit or whatever it might be that can hide in plain sight. According to the stories, it can turn into a fox, a wolf, or what, anything really. So, I mean, it's kind of hard to really, kind of catch them without their,
Well, the thing with skinwalkers too is they're often observed in graveyards digging up bodies, and the reason they dig up the bodies is because one of the things that they do is they apparently impale, like stick people with dead people bones, and it acts like a poison, a slow-acting poison that over time will kill somebody. Now, there was a story we covered, God, maybe a year ago now. It's been a long time. But it was this young girl was staying with her grandmother, or her friend, staying with her friend at her friend's grandmother's. And she was in the room. She had her own room, and she was in there. And she kept noticing this weird dog that was always watching her and just kind of around the house, and that nobody seemed to know whose dog this was. It just kind of appeared, and it was this larger dog, but it was just always following around, and people were trying to shoo it away and stuff, and she would go out with like the garbage, and there it would be, and so they'd kind of scare it off, and it'd run away, and then kind of stop about 10 steps away and just watch. And it was really kind of creepy, really weird behavior, but it seemed really fixated on this girl that was visiting her friend. And so she went to bed, and she said that as she was laying in bed, she could hear it, and her friend was in their room with her, and they could hear it walking around and like jumping up onto the low roof and climbing around, and like it was, they could hear the clicking of the dog pads and nails on their roof and stuff, and they were looking out and seeing this dog just staring at the window, and it was really creepy. And then this went on for a little while, and they told the grandma, and she's like, well, just shut the windows, shut the blinds, and don't go out, don't ever go out at night, just stay inside. And she said then the next night she was in her room, and suddenly right in her window was that dog, and it was looking in the window, like right in the window at her. And she was freaked out, but she was kind of frozen in fear. She's got her blanket pulled up, and she's looking, and then she said she's looking, and suddenly the dog's head kind of lifts up like this, and underneath another face appears, all painted black, and she can see eyes underneath the dog's head. And it was looking at her, and she's like, then it was like all real to her. It wasn't just a weird dog or possible skinwalker thing. It was definitely a skinwalker. So she freaks out, screams. Her friend screams. The grandmother rushes in, She grabs the shotgun because she sees it in the window, and she also grabs some ash from the fireplace hearth, and then she runs out the door and blam blam. They hear the sound. The grandma's unloading the shotgun and stuff, and so a little while later the grandma comes back in and they're like, "Oh my God, what happened?" And so apparently if you just shoot it with a regular gun and a bullet, it won't do any harm. But using the white ash from the fireplace hearth, is I guess painful to them, will injure them and cause them to leave them alone. So she did that. The thing ran off, and they found the exact mutilated dog that had been dead for a couple of weeks in a ditch nearby, because apparently the skinwalker has to kill the animal it wants to become, and then it strips its hide. Well, they found the actual carcass. It was a couple weeks old, near the house in a ditch.
Oh.
And they also noticed that there was a small trickle of blood on the grandmother's shoulder. Like, "Grandma, what's going on?" And the grandmother started to feel ill and wasn't feeling well. And so they called the shaman. He came over, and as they were standing there watching, he pulled out a full 2-inch bone that was placed in her shoulder that she didn't know was shot into her or put into her somehow. And it would have killed her if it had remained there. And then the shaman blessed the property and blessed the house and, to ward these things off. And that was the end of it. But what a story.
That's horrifying.
Yeah, it is. So,
but if they were stalking that, so it sounds like skinwalkers are very spiteful.
Well, I mean, maybe it fell in love with this girl. Who knows? Was it
stabs her?
No, the grandmother got stabbed. The grandmother
right.
that was going off, with the shotgun and the white ash, to try to kill it. And so, but it seemed really fixated on this girl. Well, was it just a man crush? Was it, well, I want her to be my mate kind of thing? I don't know. I don't know, because it didn't actually hurt her. It just made itself known to her repeatedly for a long period of time. Now, if it was hell-bent on destroying her, it probably would have tore her up when she took out the garbage, just like, done. I mean, if that was what it was fixated on, but it wasn't. It was just, for some reason, was fixated on this girl. So, again, I'm paraphrasing the story, but that's the gist of it. The major details I know I got right. The narrative I might have screwed up a little bit here and there, but you be the judge. So, I think skinwalkers are terrifying, but I'm very interested in it because something incredible is going on there, and they seem to be physical beings, but maybe they're more than just physical beings. I don't know. I don't know how it works. It's very curious.
Someone was saying earlier, I'm trying to find the comments, but they were saying, Native Women 411, and that it's rampant from Wonder Woman. Is that, have you heard anything about that?
Oh, missing Native women? Yeah. I mean, it's apparently an epidemic in some places. So I'm not saying that's, they could be.
I'm not saying skinwalker, but that's happening. Apparently.
It could be abductions, just people being creepy and doing it on reservations, like just normal kidnappings for whatever reasons. God bless any of those poor souls, but I don't know. Is it supernatural? I don't know. But I know that there's an epidemic of Native girls and women going missing, and without a trace, just like gone. But is it just some kind of trafficking? It could be. Is it supernatural? It could be. Is it UFO? Could be. Something else? Could be. I don't know. But what's this? Maybe the girl was going to be used in a future ritual. The skinwalker had a vision that the girl would have power in the community. Maybe, yeah. That's entirely possible. I mean, it's all just speculation, of course. We don't know, but whatever's going on, it was fixated on that girl. So, yeah, that's incredibly creepy.
Rachel says, Sheldon, the Highway of Tears, Native Women 411.
Yeah. It's
oh yeah,
it's horrible. I don't. my heart just aches. I mean, not only for the girls themselves, but for their families. I mean, I being a parent, I can't think of a more painful hell than to have someone take one of my children. It would probably be either it would make me a horrible person because I would just be on a brand new mission in life, or it would kill me. One of the two.
Yeah.
I could be Liam Neeson, or I could be, I don't know.
The whale.
I was thinking the whale, but I was like, he's a really nice guy. I didn't want to say that.
Well,
I just mean it would break my heart. It would just be.
That's what I was referring to, actually.
If I didn't become a Liam Neeson, like making it my new hobby to hunt down those horrible people, then it would just break my heart, and I would couldn't live.
That's what I was referring to. Yeah, that side of it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it wasn't a weight thing. I swear to God, that wasn't a weight thing. That was like, yeah, you're a whale. No,
I only love
the movie The Whale. Okay?
I only love food now. Yeah, I don't know, but yeah, I don't know. It's horrible stuff. All right, let's go on to. Wow.
Oh my God! Wait a second.
I guess the cryptid corner was a whole lot of Skinwalker.
Holy jeez! All right.
and it was funny because it started out with a direwolf dogman story and ended up into Skinwalkers. But I think it's all cryptids. That's all counts.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. God, how about that? Great conversations just lead to these anomalies of time, and hopefully the whole show has been a great conversation. But I don't know. Again, I don't ever mean to speak like I got any of this stuff nailed down. I really don't, but I'm so curious. I want to understand because I know people are seeing something. People are seeing something with the paranormal. They're experiencing something that defies our traditional logics and understandings of the world. So whatever it is they're experiencing is happening. And I think that we should learn about it because these things are happening in our world. Maybe they're just outside of our norm and outside of our normal purview. But I think these are secrets of the universe. I mean, literally, I do. The paranormal are the breadcrumbs. And I've said this for years since I started doing the show. But the paranormal are not just where reality folds in on itself and goes quirky. I think it's the breadcrumbs. It's teaching us something that there's still amazing things going on in this world. And we are just living on the fringe of it without any knowledge. It's like living next to an enchanted forest, but never going outside of your yard, Yeah,
it's all wondering.
You're feet away from all of this incredible, amazing wonder, and yet you're just mowing your yard and pulling weeds. It's like, come on,
I couldn't imagine not. But
right.
I understand that. I understand what you're saying, though.
Yeah.
Yes.
Actually, one of the things going forward, and I'm starting to formulate plans for the Paranormal Portal to be doing more investigating going forward as well. Actual investigations, I will try to stream those to some degree, but they will be filmed and recorded. And if streaming is kind of sketchy, especially in my neck of the woods, because I'm in the north of Idaho, and it's not like there's a real technological hub around here. So bandwidth is sometimes a real issue, and it's caused problems. But I'm going to try to get back to the haunted bar that Charles and I investigated. We had a pretty flat night, other than my phone calling 911 by itself, which was really weird. Mm-hmm. But there's a lot of things going on at that place, and I definitely want to get back there, as well as I'd like to get back to the Davenport Hotel and check that out again. But that's, a little more costly venture because it's a beautiful hotel, but it's expensive. That place is not cheap. But also St. Ignatius, what is it? It was a hospital, but like more like a penitentiary than a hospital. But that's not far from here as well. And I'm trying to put together an investigation to go over there and check that out. And of course, all of this is going to be filmed. We'll stream whatever we can to all of you. There's even a haunted bar here in town that has been brought to my attention that I'm hopefully going to work with Don and Paisley to go check out, and we'll film that as well. So a lot of stuff coming up on that end as well. That's one of the things I've been talking about for a while, and that's a lot of what we're going to be doing moving forward. So keep watching for all of that, as well as these shows, as well as pre-produced videos talking about the different phenomena. So if you have any ideas of things you'd like to see on the show, please email me, paranormalportalradio@gmail.com. I'd love to hear your input. If you didn't participate on the question of the week that we covered earlier, then by all means, if you have other ideas and would rather tell me, that'd be great.
Or you can post it right here in the Discord link I'm putting in chat.
Yeah, you can join the Discord.
Yeah.
We'd love to have you over there. Absolutely. So, Sheldon, anything in closing?
Just Discord, and if you guys want to keep more up to date on schedule and going live times, if it's hard to remember for those of us that have bad memory, me included, a horrible memory. But that's why paranormalportal.net comes in. As a timer, right down there, along with all the socials and ways to connect with Dad. And if you want to, you can even sign up for his email address right at the bottom, and you can schedule your own interviews if you want to, or story.
Yeah, if you got paranormal experiences and you wouldn't mind being a guest on the podcast, I'd love to talk to you. Just if you go to the paranormalportal.net link that Sheldon just put in the chat, you can click interview me, and it'll pop up a calendar with available times. And if you lock one of those in, then I will connect with you, and you can be a guest on the podcast as well. So also, once again, a new development here on YouTube. I don't know if all of you guys are familiar with this or not, but on our YouTube channel, there's now every available episode of season 4 of the podcast is now on a playlist near the top of the page. So if you scroll down a little bit, they're audio only episodes, but that is what the Paranormal Portal podcast is, much like Sasquatch Chronicles, much like the Confessionals. So that playlist is there. I'm going to be putting season 3 and season 2 up in the near future, but I got to figure out how to do it so I don't lose more subscribers, because I put up 31 episodes, and all my subscribers got flooded with notifications of every one of them, every one of 31. And I got so many messages, and I lost like 35 subscribers, like, bam. They're like, God. So I don't know if there's a way to avoid that. Maybe I'll put them up in 10 episode blocks, a couple times a week or something. But I'll be putting up more of the episodes of the podcast there if you want to check those out. That is the podcast, which is available on all the major platforms: iTunes, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, CastBox, just so many more of them. So there's
anywhere that hosts a podcast, you can find it.
Anywhere there's podcasts, you'll find the Paranormal Portal. Yeah. So if you have any of those platforms, just do a search. And if you like the podcast, please leave us a review on like iTunes and stuff. That really helps a bunch. I always read those reviews, and we've been getting a few lately, and they're really wonderful. Thank you so much for all those kind words. That really means the world to me, and it really makes my heart warm up. So what does Christopher Douglas say? Hello, Brent. What do you think about people who are going out of their way to put out a bunch of fake content? I think that's horrible.
Yeah, I think it doesn't help anything. It actually hurts the side that they're trying to fight for, I guess.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, this to many of us is a very serious thing, looking into this weird phenomena. Now, if somebody's doing it for entertainment value and they're real transparent about it, like, hey, these are fictional stories, but I'm going to read them, and you guys enjoy them, have a good time. Well, then fine. At least then going in. I don't like the whole made up story thing at all. I think that people passing that off as real content to me is nothing short of a slap in the face, because to me this is a really serious inquiry. I really do. I've experienced a ton of things myself. I really take this stuff seriously because I myself and thousands or millions of other people have experienced something, and they're trying to understand what it is. There's a lot of people researching this stuff seriously, putting their own blood, sweat, and tears into it to try to understand and to bring back proof so that, people become aware that this stuff is out there. I think people that are putting out content that is fake, fictional, absolutely fabricated is horrible, and it doesn't do anything to move the needle forward. Because I'll tell you, one of the big things is I draw a lot of what I know or what I believe I know about the phenomena from people's experiences that I've read, that I've talked to as I've interviewed them, or any number of different sources. But if we're listening to fictional accounts and you start thinking, oh, well, this shows a different kind of behavior, that's very interesting. And it's a waste of time. It's not moving anything forward. It's just giving you a bunch of garbage, and it doesn't help. So no, I'm not a fan of fictional content at all, unless it's right up front. Unless they're saying, look, there's true stuff here, there's fabricated stuff. I just want to, entertain you guys. Great. Then you're going in full knowledge, and it can be enjoyable. I mean, when you go to the movies, there's no X-Wing fighters out there or lightsabers, but we have a good time with it because we know going in, this is entertainment. So, but everything you hear on the show, I take great pride in the fact that everything I've presented, I can't verify everything I've presented is factual, but it is presented as factual when I'm bringing it to you here on the show. So if it isn't, it's news to me as well. I will never present things on this show that I know are not real or are fabricated. Now, a little inside baseball, I had somebody at one point approach me and go, hey, what if I could put together a body, and we could have it wash up on the shore and act like it was just discovered? That thing would be internet gold. And I was like, I'm absolutely not interested. I said, I'm not interested at all. And I just made my way out of that conversation. I'm not interested in perpetuating hoaxes, in spreading fabrications and falsifications, because this is a genuine journey I'm on. This is it might sound ridiculous, but I really want to understand this stuff. And so anything that takes it away or just makes it a joke or ridiculous, I'm not in this for the clicks. I'm in it because I believe that this is important. What we're doing on the show, even though it's fun and we have a lot of laughs and a lot of stuff, we're talking about very real phenomena that changes people's lives. Maybe we're helping them just by talking about it. Maybe we are finding some possible answers to some of this. But I take it all very seriously. So you'll never hear me present anything that I know is a gross fabrication. So
this isn't a clout journey. This is a life journey.
Right, exactly. So I'm just glad that so many of you are joining me on this, and we're doing it together. So, but thank you for the question.
Coyote.
Thank you for that question. What did you say, Coyote?
Coyote, the one guy who, remember the skull?
Oh, Coyote, yeah, Peterson,
yeah.
Thank you, Christopher. I appreciate the question, though. I mean, I don't like it, but yeah. So, all right, that's all we got time for tonight. Everybody, thank you so much. Sheldon, thank you for joining us tonight.
Yes.
I appreciate it. You're not going to be here tomorrow night, so.
Correct.
All right, and thank you to our mods. You guys are amazing. And a special thank you to those of you that were able to the donation we got. That's amazing and wonderful. Thank you to our YouTube members. When I do actually make the pre-recorded stuff, you guys are going to get several days of the first access to it. That's going to be part of the membership stuff going forward on YouTube. I haven't given you guys a whole bunch except for a few emojis and you get a green name, but going forward, the membership will have more value, hopefully, that you'll get early access to stuff released on this channel when it comes to pre-configured videos. So that'll be going forward. So anyway, I don't mean to belabor this exit, but it's always hard to stop the shows.
It's that Minnesota goodbye, you know.
Yeah, it's the Minnesota goodbye. That's right. All right, Sheldon, thank you again, buddy. And
Thank you.
Thank all of you. Please like the stream before you leave. And if you're watching it when it's not live, leave me a comment. That helps a bunch too. Helps the algorithm. Go, hey, there's stuff going on here. Let's recommend it. So, all right.
A thumb.
Big thumbs up. All right.
Yeah.
Good night. Remember, we love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice. Take care of each other. Help each other out. Find the magic in every day. And remember to laugh as much as you can. I'll be back tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 10 p.m. Eastern, right here on YouTube. Hope you guys will join me. Until then, good night.
Good night.